25 minutes before 9 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Tuesday morning. 74 degrees here at the Paddock Mall. And Dan Martone and I are ready to read the news to you. We've got news from the different news agencies around the world, and we will deliver these stories to you. They're national, they're international, they're statewide, and they're local in some cases. And we will also tell you the news agencies we're getting these stories from so that you can look up the story if you so desire. And the first story that I'm going to read to you is from USA Today, and it kind of dovetails with what we were talking about before about the internet. This case is out of Europe. Europe's highest court ruled this morning that people can have the right to be forgotten and can ask Google to remove some sensitive information from internet search results. The judgment was handed down by the Luxembourg-based Court of Justice of the European Union in a development that highlights ongoing battles between supporters of privacy rights and those who advocate for freedom of expression. The court ruled that Google, if asked to do so, must amend links to information shown to be outdated or information deemed to be irrelevant.
Well, is that just in Europe then? If a European council did it, can Americans still ask for the same thing?
You know what? That's a good question. I don't know.
All right. Well, we'll find out later. Robot hand and arm gets official approval. A robot arm capable of picking up delicate objects has been approved for the use by U.S. medical authorities, whoever they are. The DEKA arm, the DEKA arm, has fingers that can move much like real ones and is making it easier for amputees to feed themselves, zip up clothes, and unlock doors. The arm has a much greater range of movement than existing devices, many of which are based around metal hooks and designs that are over 100 years old. U.S. Army veterans have helped to test and refine the prosthetic limb, and the arm was developed with a $40 million cash research fund by the U.S. Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, or DARPA. That money was part of a larger $100 million revolutionizing prosthetics research project run by DARPA that aimed to radically improve the range of robot limbs and the availability to those who have lost upper limbs. So, Star Wars. You don't know? Remember, he lost his arm?
$6 million man, too, right?
Yeah, well, sort of. But yeah, kind of. But this doesn't have skin over it. The Star Wars guy, he had just a metal hand.
Wow.
But it had fingers moving. And so now we're here.
It's amazing, isn't it?
That was 40 years ago. So now here we go.
All right, next story is from CNN. A powerful explosion tore through a duplex in Brentwood, New Hampshire yesterday afternoon after a man shot and killed a police officer who responded to a domestic dispute there. The blast was captured live on TV by CNN affiliate WCVB-TV in New Hampshire. Officer Steve Ocala was fatally shot by 47-year-old Michael Nolan, according to New Hampshire Attorney General Joseph Foster. A second officer responded to the scene but was driven away by gunfire. Other officers arrived, and a short time later, the home was engulfed in flames and later exploded. It is believed Mr. Nolan was killed by the fire or the explosion. The incident is being investigated by the state and federal authorities.
That's sad. That's just a sad story there. What do you say?
Yeah, sad story.
North Korea accuses South and U.S. of making up spy drone reports. North Korea has accused U.S. and South Korea of fabricating the result of an investigation concluded and had sent surveillance drones to spy on key South Korean installations in March. A spokesman for North Korea military attacked the U.S. for what it said was a blindly backed confrontational conspiracy devised by the governments of South Korea's President Park Geun-hye. Is that how you pronounce that? Do you know his name? Park? Yeah, these pronounce it. I don't know. Whom it called a political prostitute. Ooh, harsh words from the North Koreans there. If Washington pays heed only to what its stooges... Okay, this is just insanity here. Just continuing reading this. This was by The Guardian. And again, North Korea is just crazy. They're just nuts. That's all. That's all.
Goodness. All right.
They're just nuts.
The next story is from CNN. A judge yesterday named famed radio countdown host Casey Kasem's daughter as the temporary conservator of her ailing father, according to a spokeswoman. The conservatorship is in effect until June 20th, when a hearing is scheduled on whether to make the conservatorship permanent, according to the Los Angeles County Superior Court spokeswoman identified as Patricia Kelly. Justice was finally served. I just won temporary conservatorship over my father's health care. We have been vindicated by the court. Thank you for your prayers, well wishes, and support through this entire ordeal. It was a statement from Kasem's daughter, Carrie Kasem. She made that statement as a post on her Facebook page soon after the order. Later, she added, I believe my father's wife fled the country or possibly went to an Indian reservation with my dad because she knew I would win in court today. The judge ordered Adult Protective Services, the PVP attorney, and the police to look for Casey Kasem.
So this is why he's missing.
Yeah, apparently.
So she got awarded custody or conservatorship, whatever you say.
Right. Yeah, that's what they're calling it.
And so then the who was she?
The wife.
The wife, but not her mother, obviously.
I think so, yeah. Judge Daniel Murphy also ordered that Casey Kasem's whereabouts be disclosed, according to the daughter's lawyer. So,
well, that didn't work out real well. He's still missing.
He's still missing, yeah.
So they took off. They literally just
He's
took
got
off.
Parkinson's disease, Casey Kasem, and apparently can't talk anymore. The guy who earned a living with his voice.
Oh, you're kidding. I did not know that.
Can't talk anymore?
Oh, that is terrible. Yeah. Okay. All right, well, hopefully they'll find him. Troops face growing mental health costs of the Afghan war. There's been a significant increase in the number of UK veterans of the Afghanistan conflict seeking mental health treatment, says a charity. Combat Stress said it had received 358 new Afghanistan veteran referrals in 2013, which was a 57% rise on the 228 in 2012. The charity, currently supporting more than 660 Afghanistan veterans, said the issue would become heightened as UK forces prepared to leave the country. The government said it has invested $7.4 million in mental health services. Combat Stress said it had found that veterans generally waited an average of 13 years after serving before they sought help. But this had fallen to an average of 18 months for the Afghanistan veterans. This from BBC. That's rough.
And this next story is from the Reuters news agency. A top spokesman for Republican New Jersey Governor Chris Christie is scheduled to testify in Trenton, New Jersey today about a scheme to create traffic gridlock on the George Washington Bridge last year, apparently as political payback. Michael Druniak, Christie's press secretary, and Patrick Foy, executive director at the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, the agency that oversees bridge operations, were called to appear before a legislative panel probing the closure of lanes leading to the busy commuter span linking New Jersey with New York City.
Come on, that's funny. It's silly.
It is.
It's something you see on one of those TV shows like Scandal or something.
It is. It is.
It's going to be written in, we closed the bridges so they couldn't get out to vote.
It is a good, nobody got hurt kind of a story.
Yeah. Driving while pregnant? Larry, have you been driving while you're pregnant? If you have, you are more likely to be in a car crash. Pregnant women may be at much higher risk of car crashes than those without babies on board, especially during the second trimester, according to a surprising new study that urges moms-to-be to drive extra carefully. Women run a 42% increased relative risk of being in a motor vehicle accident when they're pregnant than when they're not. The risk is especially acute during the first months of the second and third of during this month, the second. Okay. That's according to the Canadian researchers who studied more than 500,000 women for 6 years, from 2006 to 2011, comparing the risk of accidents before and after pregnancy. In the 3 years before they were pregnant, the women were involved in 177 car crashes a month. During pregnancy, that number jumped to 252 per month, a significant increase. Well, you know what that means. That means that the insurance company is going to grab a hold of this, and they're going to say, hey, you pregnant? We're going to have to raise your rates just temporarily.
Absolutely.
For 9 months. That came from MSNBC, by the way.
And this is from the Associated Press. The Lenovo Corporation has announced the ThinkPad 10, along with a line of accessories designed to ready the slate for the mobile worker. These include a cover and a couple of keyboard options that turn the ThinkPad 10 into a full ThinkPad laptop. At only 1.3 pounds, the ThinkPad 10 is a mobile solution that brings optional pen support to the conference table with the latest Bay Trail technology. The tablet should be a reasonable performer while getting a claimed 10 hours of use on one battery charge.
Isn't that what you have?
I have a Kindle.
Oh, Robin got the Lenovo?
Robin has the Lenovo, yeah.
Does it get 10 hours?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Because my laptop was supposed to get 9 hours. And shortly after that, it got 8 and 7, 6, 5, 4,
It dwindled
2.
quickly, yeah.
It dwindled very, very quickly. Yeah. I think that's only when they're brand new. Those batteries.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. Yeah.
All right. Medicare pays billions of dollars for wasteful procedures. What? As many as 42% of U.S. Medicare patients were subjected to procedures providing little, if any, medical benefit, costing the government program up to $8.5 billion, billion with a B, in wasteful spending, according to a study published on Monday. The research, reported in JAMA Internal Medicine, is the first large-scale analysis of what Medicare spends on procedures widely viewed as unnecessary, from advanced imaging for simple lower back pain to preoperative chest x-rays and putting stents in patients with stable heart disease. The study looked at the frequency at which doctors used 26 such procedures in 2009. Well, heck, I could have told you that. Anytime you go to the doctor, what do? You got to have this and that and that and this and 4,000 things. And, it's just a splinter. So, we'll pull it out. They do. I mean, think about that.
The next story is from CNN. FCC Chairman Tom Wheeler, you remember this story yesterday, is revising his controversial Internet fast lane plan after facing mounting pressure from consumer advocates and Silicon Valley giants. Under the new proposal, it would still be okay for Internet service providers to charge companies like Netflix and Amazon for faster access to consumers, but the FCC will ensure broadband companies like Comcast and Time Warner Cable won't put non-paying customers into a slow lane, according to a news release from an agency official who was not named.
Okay, so they're going to charge Netflix for being in a faster lane, but doesn't that mean there are still lanes?
Apparently.
I'm not comfortable.
Hold on, your questions till Friday when Jim George comes in.
I know. I'm not too keen on them. Okay, where are we here? Obama's IRS spends nearly $100 million. Guess what they spend it on, Larry?
Flying.
Office furniture.
Furniture. Okay. All right.
The IRS has spent $96.5 million on office furniture under the Obama administration and is now claiming it had insufficient funding to adequately serve taxpayers. Treasury Secretary Jack Lew testified before the House 2 weeks ago about the IRS's need for additional funding for the upcoming fiscal year. We don't have enough. We spent it on that nice lounge chair. IRS is currently seeking an increase of $1.2 billion. Oh, they want the nice lounge chairs. A 7% raise over its fiscal year of 2014. $11.29 billion budget. It would bring the agency's fiscal year of 2015 budget to $12.48 billion. A review of the contracts by Washington Free Beacon shows the IRS in the past 5 fiscal years has spent $96.5 million refurbishing IRS offices across the country. These contracts include fiscal year 2010 through 2014. Wow. They really need to get rid of the IRS. I had no idea of these numbers. These are staggering. You could take this money, get rid of the IRS, and just pay people to sit and do nothing. I mean, this is insanity.
All right, the next story is from the Washington Times. Immigration officials knowingly released dozens of murderers back into the U.S. in 2013, according to Obama administration statistics detailing all of the criminal convictions of the more than 36,000 immigrants released from custody last year. The numbers show that the criminals released by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement had amassed more than 15,000 drunken driving convictions, 1,317 domestic violence convictions, and even 4 that the statistics listed as treason or sabotage. There were also convictions for homicide, another 43 for negligent manslaughter, 14 convictions of voluntary manslaughter, and 1 classified as homicide, willful, kill, public official, gun, according to the Washington Times.
Well, wow. That's a lot of messy stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Governor's Hurricane Conference is underway. That's right. It is coming up, isn't it? We've got hurricane season. What was it? Start June, right?
June 1st.
Yeah, just right around the corner. In Orlando, 1,500 emergency managers, first responders, state, federal, volunteer agency, businesses, and industrial representatives, along with health and medical professionals from around the state, the country, and the world are huddled together in Orlando through Friday for the 28th annual Governor's Hurricane Conference. Attendees are brainstorming and exchanging their best ideas for preparing for hurricanes and fortifying against the risks they pose during a series of training and general sessions, roundtables, and workshops. There's concern about the complacency, even for longtime Floridians. It has been 8 years since a major hurricane last made landfall. Since then, many new residents and businesses have arrived in the States. Since the last hurricane hit, technology has changed. How information is shared has changed. Social media, such as Twitter and Facebook, have become more powerful tools for emergency officials to help Floridians understand the importance of preparing for hurricanes. Now, the theme of this year's conference is fittingly Rethink Risk. Oh, hashtag. Oh, okay. So you're supposed to hashtag this thing. Hashtag Rethink Risk. Attendees are urged to embrace emerging technologies and use them to spread the word about every real threat these powerful storms pose to Florida families and communities. Well, that'll be an interesting story to continue following up with because, I'm a tech geek, and so I like to see what's new out there that is going to help prevent the hurricanes.
Absolutely.
New doors, new windows, new construction techniques, things like that.
The next story is from Business Standard Review. The mysterious feature in Saturn's darkest B ring called spokes are still clearly visible on the planet. These bright features are one of the most intriguing puzzles found by scientists about the enigmatic ringed gas giant that is still persistent as observed from NASA's Cassini mission, Discovery News reported. They were first observed during the Voyager spacecraft flybys in the early 1980s, and it was realized that these bizarre features that flare out like spokes on a bicycle wheel were not caused by gravitational interactions between the planet, moons, or ring material. It was later observed in 2005 that they were connected to the planet's global magnetic field. Oh. It is believed that the charged dust particles suspended above and below the rings are networking with Saturn's magnetic field and causing the spokes to rotate with the planet's interior spin. No mention in this article, by the way, about the spokes around Uranus.
Oh.
Well, there was no mention.
There was no mention. I am surprised. I don't know what NASA was thinking. Where were they going with that one? All right, this one from FNN. Okay, yeah. A mysterious and deadly disease known as MERS, Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, has turned up in Central Florida. There have been 538 confirmed cases and 145 deaths so far worldwide. Now, most of the cases have been in Saudi Arabia, but Florida Surgeon General John Armstrong says a case has been confirmed in Orlando. Now, while the city is at the epicenter for tourism in the Sunshine State, this particular case does not involve mixing and mingling with the visitors. According to Armstrong, this particular individual had flown in from Saudi Arabia and was in Central Florida to visit family, not the themed attractions. Dr. Tom Frieden at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says the victim is a healthcare worker who was in Saudi Arabia and flew to Orlando to visit the family. The patient was on the plane when symptoms first appeared, and the unidentified patient is in isolation ward at the Orlando area hospital, and Frieden says the person is doing well. So now I read a report earlier, or heard a report earlier that says it's not a very easily communicable disease, so that the threat level is not very high, according to Center for Disease Control.
And from CNN Money, it is already the highest grossing animated movie of all time, raking in $1.19 billion in global box office sales.
Frozen?
Since its Thanksgiving release. Yes, the movie is Frozen.
Nice. And
Frozen is on track to be the 5th highest grossing movie of all time. Wow. And is already Disney's biggest selling digital and Blu-ray release. This is definitely up there in terms of our top probably 5 franchises, is a statement from Disney CEO Bob Iger.
Yeah.
In a conference call last week after Disney reported a 27% surge in profits. So you can expect us to take full advantage of that over the next at least 5 years. In dollars and cents, FBR Capital Markets say Disney's biggest franchises work out like this. Mickey Mouse is still number 1, bringing in $4 billion in sales a year. The Disney princesses, Snow White, Cinderella, etc., bring in another $4 billion. The Cars and Winnie the Pooh franchises each bring in $2 billion a year.
Really?
The Toy Story franchise brings in $1 billion, and Frozen is expected to bring in $500 million to $1 billion in the next year, according to the report.
Have you seen the movie?
No.
It was cute. A lot of singing, and apparently that's hot right now. I wasn't such a fan of the 12-minute song. It's like sitting through Anagata Vita.
Oh, really?
And watching a movie because they're just singing and singing and singing. And it's a popular genre with the kids right now with all that singing.
It makes a lot of money, that's for sure.
Yeah, it does. All right, AT&T is in talks to buy DirecTV. Guess how much?
$5 billion.
That is so not even close.
$50 billion.
Yes.
Okay.
It's on the head, exactly. AT&T is in active talks to buy satellite TV provider DirecTV and may complete the deal in the next few weeks. They could be worth close to $50 billion. Two people familiar with the matter said on Monday the second largest wireless operator is discussing an offer in the low to mid 90s per share for DirecTV. One of the people said compared to the company's closing price of 87.16, so it's pretty close. A bid near 95 would show people at $48 billion based on the shares, yada, yada, yada. The deal has yet to be finalized, though, and terms could still change. People said adding the discussions, and it's continuing. So they asked not to be named because the matter is not public, yet we're reporting it. Okay. The talks are the latest sign of a rising tide of potential mega deals in telecoms, cable, and satellite TV, which is being roiled by Comcast Corporation's proposed $45 billion takeover of Time Warner Incorporated, as well as a market focus such as the rise of web-based TV and surging mobile internet usage. So now your DirecTV will have dead spots and bad service areas more so than before.
And from CNN, a sunken shipwreck found off the coast of Haiti may be the long-lost remains of the Santa Maria, one of Christopher Columbus's ships. The underwater explorer Barry Clifford, who led a team that found and investigated the wreck, says he is confident it is the Santa Maria. If his claim is confirmed, it would go down as one of the most significant underwater archaeological discoveries in history. Clifford told CNN late yesterday that he found the ship in the exact area where Columbus says the Santa Maria ran aground more than 500 years ago. The wreck is stuck on a reef off of Haiti's northern coast, 10 to 15 feet beneath the water's surface, not deep at all. The smoking gun that led Clifford to believe the ship is the Santa Maria is a cannon of 15th century design that was found at the site.
I thought it might say Santa Maria on there somewhere. Yeah. The big clue was the sign that said Santa Maria.
Yeah, right.
Okay, that's the coolest story so far, though. The Santa Maria found. That'd be awesome. You know what's going to happen, though? They're going to be like, oh, no, never mind. It was a replica of the 90s. Somebody sunk it. All right. Now we've got a problem. This is a big problem, so you better pay attention. The ice is melting in the western Antarctic and at an unstoppable pace. Scientists said Monday, warning that discovery holds major consequences for global sea levels rising in the coming decades. The speedy melting means that the prior calculations of sea level rising worldwide made by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Control will have to be adjusted upwards. Scientists told reporters, a large sector of the West Antarctic ice sheet has gone into a state of irreversible retreat. It is past the point of no return, said Eric Renaud, professor of Earth System Science at the University of California in Irvine. This retreat will have major consequences for the sea level rising worldwide. He added, anticipating the melting that will take place largely in the next 2 centuries. Okay. It will raise sea levels by 1.2 meters or 4 feet, said Renaud, whose paper appears in the peer-reviewed Geophysical Research Letters, a journal of the American Geophysical Union. A separate study published in the journal Science on Monday found that the glacier is melting fast and that it has collapsed and could raise global sea levels nearly 2 feet. Okay, so that's alarming. Now, when is it expected to rise? The first one said 200. It now says between 200 and 1,000 years. So I wouldn't be too concerned, my friends. You may be safe in your beachfront Ocala property.
I am going to remember that story the next time we have somebody arguing with me about the rising sea levels.
Yeah.
So I'll say, you know what? Scientists have proven that it is indeed rising. What did I say, 2 feet?
5 total.
5 feet in between 200 and 1,000 years.
Yeah. So my property's a little up. I'm going to keep it. Be all right.
All right, we've got to move forward. Thank you, Dan. Do you have any idea how many stories we did?
Yes, 67.
No, we didn't. All right, we got to move forward. Caroline Baldwin is next. Thank you, Dan.
6. You're welcome. 7 8.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. Federal safety officials say 2 miners are dead in a West Virginia mine collapse in Boone County. The mining company says the 2 men were trapped after a ground failure last night and that the bodies have now been recovered. The hunt for kidnapped Nigerian schoolgirls getting outside help.
Nigerian officials say their search for the hundreds of missing schoolgirls is now being actively supported by the U.S., including the use of manned aircraft. The State Department says military and intelligence experts are in Nigeria helping with the search on the ground.
Fox Radio's Kimberly Adams.
The terrorist group Boko Haram is demanding the Nigerian government release members of the organization in exchange for the girls, and the Nigerian government